Hello, people of Facebook and YouTube, and welcome to a fantastic and exciting episode of Cinema Bros. Cinema Bros is a podcast that we are going to cover pop culture, and it's presented by the Pop Culture Life Facebook group. And we have an exciting episode. The next few episodes we are going to be doing. We are going to be covering since the holidays are coming up, we are going to be talking about the greatest winter holiday movies of all time. So we have a bracket all set up, and it's been brought to you by the Pop Culture Life. It's been set up by the members of the Pop Culture Life group. Voting has gone underway. We have a 32 movie bracket, and it's going to be really, really fun. The members of Pop Culture Life have voted on all of the matchups, and we are going to break it down today on the Sweet 16. And yeah, you guys should be really, really excited for this. The more you comment, the more fun this is going to be. And yeah, we're going to preview this and talk about it for a while. So make sure to stay tuned. And it is hosted by two other members of Pop Culture Life, and myself as well. So my name is Austin, and I am a member of Pop Culture Life. And our main host is going to be Vince Mercandetti and Jake Schwartz. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
What's up?
Hey, thank you, Austin, for that intro. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. As Austin said, this is brought to you by Pop Culture Life. If you don't know what Pop Culture Life is, group on Facebook, please go ahead and join it if you like anything pop culture related. But for the holiday season, we decided to do a best holiday movie bracket, which is underway. We had the first round has been decided. That's what we're going to cover today. So it's a 32 movie bracket. We had a series of metrics to figure it out. We're going to reveal what those winners were tonight, and then the three of us can make our selections. So these aren't the final selections, just our personal choices as far as what we think will move on to the Elite Eight. So here we go. Jake, you're wearing the festive hat. You ready to go?
Yeah, buddy. I really want to know what Jingle All the Way's war would be. If we assigned baseball metrics to these movies, right?
Apparently pretty high, but that's a teaser for later on. So Austin, why don't you share the screen so we can figure out what the bracket looks like?
Yeah, let me get it going here. Here is.
And by the way, if you're watching, this is on my page. If you are watching on my page, feel free to weigh in. We're going to be here probably for like the next hour and a half until my head burns with these headphones on. And until we get through the bracket. So feel free to weigh in right in the comments. We will definitely be interactive with you. If you have questions as far as how the bracket was set up, you're free to ask, but just know it was extremely scientific. So here it is. Is there a way to enlarge that more?
Zoom in, maybe.
Do you want to
section by section?
Yeah, you want to zoom in on the section? We can do that.
Yeah. Let's start with a ruthless classic section. There we go.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah.
So we had broken this up into 4 different segments, one of which is classics. And It's a Wonderful Life, being the top rated movie on IMDb, is the number 1 seed. It went up against White Christmas. This was our first matchup. As you can see below, we also had Rudolph versus Home Alone. The other caveat as a reminder to this, if you see a movie like Home Alone or a movie like Miracle on 34th Street, which is in the next matchup, for example, it is the best variation of those movies. So if you thought Home Alone 2 was better than 1, it still is incorporated into Home Alone. Doesn't matter. They're an entity. And Miracle on 34th Street, if you like the remake or the original better, they're being treated as that one movie. So whichever one you liked more, that's where you would weigh in here. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, yes. And I will say that these movies, there were some interesting results in this last round. I'm excited to get to each of them. I did some reviewing myself because last time I told you that I had not seen It's a Wonderful Life. And so I made it a mission to see it before we talked today, because I figured it would trample White Christmas. But yeah, maybe we should start off with this first matchup, Austin. And what was our result between It's a Wonderful Life and White Christmas?
So a little bit of fun fact when it comes to these. It's a Wonderful Life is our number 1 seed, and it's actually rated by the AFI as the number 20 movie of all time, not just
Damn right.
winter holiday movies, but number 20 of all time. There's a lot of interesting things that could be made with these, or a lot of fun facts that goes with the making of this video of this movie too. And then White Christmas is our number 8 seed, and this, as I kind of predicted, this really wasn't all that close, I guess you want to say. The clear winner was It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life ended up beating the White Christmas 43-15.
Yeah,
Ooh.
take that, Bing Crosby.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
jerk
was
of a person, but you have great musical ability.
You talented jerk.
Talented
That was
jerk.
yeah. I mean, that was a very that was a blowout. I expected that because here's
Should
the
have been.
thing. It's a Wonderful Life and White Christmas are both old, and I said last time when we were on here when we were introducing the movies, It's a Wonderful Life in my mind should win. I don't think it will, and the reason being is it's like 80 to 90 years old.
It's going
But
down
it-
next round, bro.
but
See you
up you're going up against White Christmas, which is also old, which takes away the only advantage a movie would have against It's a Wonderful Life. So this was a pretty obvious outcome to me. It's a Wonderful Life moving on as it should. And yeah, 1 verse 8. No, not too complicated there. Where it gets complicated is in this next matchup here, because
Yeah.
you got Rudolph versus Home Alone, and the outcome here, Austin, was also not shocking.
No, it was not shocking at all. Again, this one wasn't even close either. We're gonna have a lot that we were, and some of them I'm surprised. I was like, wow, I thought this would be closer, but this one I didn't think was gonna be closer at all. So this one is the 3 seed Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the TV movie classic, and the cult classic that is Macaulay Culkin's Home Alone. Anything past 1 and 2 is not Home Alone because Macaulay Culkin.
Definitely not Home Sweet Home
Yeah.
Alone, which
Yeah.
just came out. That's not
If
going
you
to win
think
a Rookie
Home
of the Year,
Alone
by the way.
3 was being represented here, you have terrible taste in movies.
Yeah.
It's 1 or 2.
yeah,
1 or
it,
2.
it's got to be 1 or 2. So the winner of this one, I guess you can call it an upset since the lower seed won, but I don't really see this as an upset. Home Alone beats Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer 41-13.
Wow.
Right.
And even
So-
this, yeah, no, sorry, Jake.
No, go
you
for it.
ahead. I was gonna say, even this, like so the seedings are based on critic ratings, which is the fairest way to do it because it's so subjective when you're going with, just fans of a movie. But I feel like there was a time in the 90s and before then where like critics just had no soul. Like if you watch the Home Alone movies, yes, this is not a master class on cinema, but these movies are very well put together. And for a holiday movie, they're very well put together and they're enjoyable and they kind of check all the boxes for me. Rudolph is not like some fantastic movie. So it's surprising to me, even with critic ratings, that Rudolph would be a 3 and Home Alone 1 or 2, whatever you're looking at, would be the 6.
Well, I think it comes down to just like it's generational, first of all, and second of all, I think it's just classics. Like Home Alone we may view it as a classic. I don't know if it's considered in the grand scheme of cinema to be a classic
Right.
as much as, I mean, a lot of those Misfit Island toy movie styles, those were pretty popular back in the day. Like there, and there's like
you're
cult
saying old
followings.
people like Rudolph. Is that what?
Yes, I
trying to
do,
say? Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
evident by the comments that we got in the Facebook post. So I
Yeah.
would not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying that I think that's the case. So now we got this matchup. We have It's a Wonderful Life, still a 1 seed, going up against Home Alone, either 1 or 2, depending on how you view the better one. It's a Wonderful Life. I watched for the first time. I will say that it was a great movie. The first half of it, I did not care for, and was wondering why it was considered to be an all-time great. But the second half, and especially the ending, which did bring tears to my eyes, was amazing. And the story itself is great. It's a lot better in my eyes than like the way The Christmas Carol tells a similar story. But one thing I want to call out is like, I feel like all movies from the 40s and 50s, like the actors are really bad at kissing. Like when I watch like these movies, like they like try to show like extreme passion and that form is like just burying
very
your nose into
handsy.
someone else's nose and your hands. Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
I just like watching, I'm like, that scene where he like he's like, I'm not gonna marry anyone ever, and like, then he goes and kisses her, and they get married in the next scene.
It's
I'm
like a
just like,
violent kiss. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, that was, wow, you're supposed to be this like good person, George Bailey, and you're just being super aggressive with Mary right now. Like, what's going on?
Like that type of stuff doesn't translate in 2021 because it like wasn't a written consent form before doing it. But yeah, like things are just very melodramatic as acting.
Yeah.
And that's why Jimmy Stewart's one of the greatest actors of all time. Is in his time, like he was an unbelievable actor. And I still, I personally love Jimmy Stewart. I can see why some of his movies probably don't age, because we're talking like that movie was made in the 30s. So you're talking like at
40s
least
maybe, yeah.
like right 40. So you're talking about like 70 years. But the core of its, like the nucleus of It's a Wonderful Life is, and I think this was voted by AFT or New York Times or whatever it was when they made their lists at the turn of the century, it's the most inspirational movie of all time. That's why everyone who has a soul and has an attention span and can follow the movie either is on the verge of crying or is crying by the end of it, because it is humanity at its worst and at its best throughout the movie. It's interesting. I always like your perspective on this, Jake, because you grew up Jewish. So
See,
it's different. And Austin, I'm sure you can relate to me. It's different when you're Christian growing up watching It's a Wonderful Life. It's like embedded into us.
Right.
And the whole theme is, yeah, like Christmas and stuff. But Jake, you kind of had an outside perspective. I could totally see why the first half's not as good as the second, but I will also argue that the first half's very necessary to have the payoff of the second half. Just a fantastic movie.
yeah, like if they reversed it and it was, Hanukkah, and like, he goes to blow out the menorah and like it doesn't exist, because he doesn't exist anymore, it would be
Right.
different. But I watched it, and actually, Vince, I was wondering, I was like, it's definitely Christmassy.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the movie, it is Christmas Eve is when the stuff happens, but for the majority of the movie, it's not necessarily, the premise to me is not Christmas, right? Like
Yeah.
it's definitely a Christmas movie. Don't get me wrong, but I was shocked. I thought my whole kind of upbringing in this movie was like tethered to Christmas, like
Right.
all about it. Where Home Alone is, the purpose of it, they go away because it's Christmas time and they're going away for Christmas.
Yeah, Home
But
Alone's a more consistent Christmassy thing.
yeah, but they do have the Christmas music playing, even so.
Right.
And It's Wonderful Life. But anyways, all right. So I know we got to move on. We have other matchups to go
Yeah.
to. I am going to say that Home Alone will take this matchup. I do think it's the better holiday movie. I think It's Wonderful Life probably is a better movie in general. But I think Home Alone is a much better holiday movie, and I think it's more rewatchable than It's a Wonderful Life, which is typically a holiday tradition, is to rewatch the movies that come with it. So
yeah, this matchup's going to be closer than I want it to be. It's a Wonderful Life is by far the better movie. I get scared because of recency bias, which is going to benefit Home Alone. And I get scared because Home Alone is a fun movie and fun tends to trump good when we have brackets like this. So it wouldn't shock me at all if Home Alone won. I do think, though, I think It's a Wonderful Life's going to win, obviously much closer than 43-15. But it'll be close because Pop Culture Life is it's a younger crowd. I think if you had like an entire sample size perfectly organized by age, it would be It's a Wonderful Life in a blowout. Because as we said, old people love It's a Wonderful Life and Rudolph. But in this situation, it wouldn't shock me if it lost. I do think It's a Wonderful Life will hang on at least one more round, though.
all right.
Yeah, I thought these were really interesting. Fun fact really quickly on Home Alone. Did you guys know that most of Home Alone was filmed in an abandoned high school?
No, I didn't. What,
Yeah.
like their house, or like what scenes?
The scenes in front of the house, the scenes
Yeah.
where they're like in front of the house, are filmed at the actual house. But most everything else was filmed at an abandoned high school. The inside the house, everything.
Yeah, they built the whole set inside of a gymnasium, right?
Inside of
Yeah.
a gym, and the production offices were on the other side of campus.
That's cool.
Wow.
And you guys know the scene in the basement where it's flooded and he has to go through the flooded basement.
Yeah.
That was filmed in the school's pool. They built the scene,
Wow.
they built the set in the pool so that if the set leaked, it didn't ruin the It didn't ruin the floor.
That is neat.
That's
And
exciting.
then It's a
So
Wonderful Life. They open up the pool and everyone falls in, or
before
jumps
we
in, I
move
should say.
on,
So for
so-
that one, that
Yeah.
pool scene in It's a Wonderful Life, I believe it's a Wonderful Life, was filmed in Beverly Hills, Beverly Hills High School, and the bully, the kid that opens up the pool,
It's Alfalfa, right?
is Alfalfa.
Yeah. Do you know that, Jake? That might skew you a little
Oh
bit.
man, I do.
I know
love
you're a big Little
Alfalfa.
Rascals
I'm a
fan.
big Little Rascals fan.
Yeah.
And then
Uh,
here's the connection between Wonderful Life and White Christmas. White Christmas, one of the ladies shows his brother shows her brother at the beginning, shows a picture of the brother from the army. That's the one that Big Crosby and his buddy there, they make fun of him because he looks funny or whatever.
Yeah.
And they show a picture of him. The picture of that brother is an adult Alfalfa.
Wow. That's cool. That is neat. Yeah, there you go. We're getting made fun of for these
Yeah,
Alfalfa
what are people? It
connections.
looks like people are
Tons
voting
of
for
them.
Home Alone from the comments. I
Looks
see
like
Henry in there. Yeah.
Henry
Um,
and Shannon and Jimmy have been talking quite a bit in there.
Yeah, I like that Jimmy's coming in, like giving us in-depth breakdowns of this.
Really,
type of
he really
stuff.
is. I like
And
reading them.
it's very neat. He's obviously going to side with Jimmy Stewart. 'Cause his name's Jimmy, so this makes sense.
it's a Jimmy thing.
Let's move on to the yeah, exactly, Jimmy thing. Let's move on to the next matchup here, and I obviously have all sorts of passion about this one because it is a Christmas Story versus Miracle on 34th Street. That was the first round matchup. Again, I don't think, given that what everyone knows now as far as the age demographics of pop culture life, you're probably talking like 30s and 40s as opposed to 60s and 70s in age. I don't think it's surprising which one of these won, even though A Christmas Story is not a recent setting, but Austin, this was a blowout as well, right?
This definitely was a blowout. Not as bad of a blowout as Home Alone and Rudolph, or not as bad of a blowout as either the other two, but it still was a blowout. Christmas Story trumped Miracle on 34th Street 40-20.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, doubling up action. So this one wasn't surprising. I mean, it's surprising for me, Jake, for this reason. A Christmas Story, like I said 2 weeks ago, is just the worst movie that's ever been made. It's a terrible movie. It's the worst holiday movie ever, and I hate every single character and actor in it. But it doesn't surprise me because most people are wrong about how they feel about this movie, that it's moving on in a blowout. So those,
Yeah.
those are my feelings. Were you shocked at all? And have you seen A Christmas Story? You have, right? Because you know it sucks.
Yeah. Have I? Oh, Austin,
Yeah.
you want to move back to the bracket? There we go. Chris Story. Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it a couple of times. Not a fan. Miracle on
Right.
34th Street, I liked better, but still don't think it's going to compete with any of these other movies here. So yeah, Christmas Story. I just can't wait for it to get knocked out. I think in this next round it will finally get knocked out. But
Yes.
it's highly overrated, and a lot of it I just find stupid. Like the
It's
leg
all-
lamp.
yeah.
The leg lamp is just stupid.
Yeah.
The main character is just stupid. The only thing that I liked about the movie, I think, was the villain, and he's still stupid. So
Yeah, I mean, Ralphie is one of the worst characters of all time. His parents are just so dumb. It takes place in a stupid area that all the writing is bad. It's a really, really terrible movie. And I'm glad that it's going up against this next opponent because I'm 100% convinced it's going down. And I think it's going to be heated. I don't think it'll be that close, but I do think it's going to be heated. There's probably, as an admin, I'm probably going to have to pay attention to this one, make sure that no one's personally attacking families here. But yeah, A Christmas Story moves on. Not so surprising. Miracle on 34th Street, iconic ending, but it again is old, and I don't think that many people have seen it like they have A Christmas Story because it's on all the effing time on television. But it's going up here against winner of Christmas Carol and Christmas Vacation. And again, given that this is probably the strongest 7 seed of any bracket in existence in any topic, it's not surprising me. Christmas Vacation brutalized A Christmas Carol. Now, I'll say this. Out of any of the first round matchups, I thought what was most unfair, and not because of the way it was decided, but I thought what was most unfair was A Christmas Carol having to go against Christmas Vacation. It deserved a better fate. It's a really good movie. For me, it's the George C. Scott version. There's like 100 of them.
definitely not the Jim Carrey version.
No, that was
Muppets
not
Christmas Carol.
Muppets is my second favorite one, which
That's
is
a good
surprising
one.
because I don't like things like that. But I
Ugh.
love the Muppet movies, but I don't like animated stuff, and that's
Oh,
like right on the
okay.
verge. Yeah.
I'm glad you
But
clarified.
yeah, like Muppet Caper is great too. But yeah, so Christmas Vacation, moving on. That was not a surprise. I feel bad for A Christmas Carol. And now we have A Christmas Story versus Christmas Vacation, which Jake, for you, is probably like that's a good dose of Christmassy in these two movies.
I will say that like Christmas Vacation is rivaling Jingle All the Way for my favorite Christmas movie. I especially now that I'm a dad and I actually have to hang Christmas lights and stuff. So I'm like, I can so relate to Chevy Chase's character in this movie, because it is such a pain in the you know what to hang Christmas lights, but it is such an egotistical, like prideful thing to do of like, I'm gonna go all out and just like show the rest of the neighborhood how good my decorations are. And I've had like times where I'm on a ladder, like stapling the lights into the roof, and like I've like wavered or like had to catch myself. And like, granted, I'm not doing it on a 2-story house, so it's not comparable. And there's not a tree behind me. I'm not sending a gutter into Elaine's house next door. But yeah, Christmas Vacation, just we talked about last week. Just it has it all. It's like
Yeah.
it's got the songs. It's about Christmas. It's got hilarity. It's got a good kind of villain from being a heel turning face at the end with the boss becoming a good guy. It's got Randy Quaid's ridiculousness. It's got like the evil neighbors. It's just got so much in it, and it goes through it all. That's what A Christmas Story should be. Like Christmas Vacation should be called A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
That's more of what A Christmas Story is than A Christmas Story. I don't remember sticking my tongue to a pole and getting stuck when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is like A Christmas Story I can't relate to, and I'm pretty certain people who grew up in that era also can't really relate to it. And correct me if I'm wrong. If anyone who's old, like over the age of 60 is watching this, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't think A Christmas Story is relatable. I think it's just so stupid. Some people find it funny, like farting. But A Christmas,
I mean, I do find farting funny.
But Christmas Vacation, and yeah, we covered this. It's the most relatable movie on here because everyone who's ever celebrated Christmas, yes, Brandy, it is that bad. A Christmas Story is the worst thing that's ever happened to the United States. A Christmas Vacation is, yeah, like everyone, and it doesn't even just have to be Christmas. That's kind of the beauty of it, is like if you've ever dealt with a lot of relatives in one place, if you've ever dealt with elderly people, if you've ever dealt with children, if you've ever dealt with like extended relatives who you don't really have a lot in common with, but you're kind of obligated to invite them because they have nowhere else to go and you're guilted by holiday guilt, any of those things are related. If you've ever been boned over at work, like you don't like your coworkers, your boss is a dick, whatever the case may be, and someone at some point in their life, I'm sure, has experienced that, you're going to relate to this movie. That's what makes it so great, and it's funny, which is the most important thing. And even me, like we cut down our Christmas tree, for years, my entire childhood, we made a whole weekend out of it, cutting down live Christmas trees. So I crack up when I see them like accidentally getting a 12-foot tree that they're going to put in their house and it doesn't fit and it like explodes the windows and stuff. Like that stuff's hilarious to me.
Did you get into like conflict on the highway with truckers on the way to getting your Christmas
we
tree?
bought one tree one year that we named Lenny that was about 9 feet. We had pretty big ceilings in the house growing up.
You named your tree Lenny?
Oh yeah, from Of Mice and Men. It was like it was in our reading curriculum that year, and I was like, this is the perfect name. So that tree was named Lenny. It drank about 4 gallons of water a day, and
so did Lenny.
Yes, and it dented the top of our car because it weighed so much. Like it actually weighed down on our cars. That's like the closest I can come.
See, you can relate. Yeah, I just love that little clip of like Clark Griswold like telling, "Oh, what's that over there?" And then like he like flicks off the truckers and like slowly turns to the
yes. And
like
what makes it funnier on
Oh.
a personal level for us, Jake, is like I said, you now remind me so much of Clark Griswold because you have like the crazy, little kids and the family and whatnot. And I know that you guys do your holidays huge as far as decorations and festivities and whatnot. I will be a father, but I'm not at that level and probably won't be that festive. But the part that I relate to is the neighbors, Elaine, Todd, and Margot, because I'm like, yeah,
That's
like
you.
I want to
Yeah.
have like the best stereo. Like I just want peace and quiet in my house. I don't want my neighbors to blind me. Like I love Christmas, but I'm not like I don't outwardly express it in that way. I'm not like huge into Christmas music, although like Christmas Day, it's fine and whatnot. Like I love the gift giving part of it, but I'm just not that huge about everything else. And for Todd and Margot, I'm like, yeah, like they don't have kids, like they're young, they're still like I can totally understand what kind of Christmas they want, and the Griswolds just destroy that concept.
Oh, it's good. You know, and this year I think Jess and I are gonna make the change to just go all white lights on the house
Oh
because I think it
no.
looks better. And I love the Clark Griswold kind of like just it's like vomited on his house. So I'm like maybe I'll get on this like actual ceiling of the roof this year and put him on there too. So we'll see. We may do a little bit more.
Yeah,
This
our
year.
next
But
door
yeah.
neighbor has like blue tinted white lights, and Melanie just we pulled into the driveway today from running errands, and she like fell in love with that concept
Oh,
because
it's
we
like
have like
Hanukkah.
a half Hanukkah, half Christmas house, like almost
Yeah.
directly divided down the middle. Like every Christmas decoration we buy, we also buy a Hanukkah decoration. So she's like, white lights with a blue tint, like that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So we'll
The
see.
Jewish community is missing a primo like opportunity here where like Halloween, the 12-foot skeleton like sold out. They
Yeah.
need like a 12-foot menorah that you just put
They,
either on
they
top of your roof or in your yard, and people like that would sell like potato pancakes. It would
we
sell like they need it. I don't know why they haven't done it.
we just bought a 6 foot dreidel for our first outside decoration.
All right.
We won't
Can you
put it up till
spin
after
it?
Thanksgiving because we're totally like that.
Can you
But
spin it? Or does it have to be like held down in place by
I
I'm
think
sure
it's
it has
held down
to.
in
Yeah.
place. And I
Is it an
forget.
inflatable?
Yeah, it's an
All
inflatable.
right. Okay.
And we also, I believe, got a Christmas penguin to counter that beast, so we could fit into the non-secular aspects of Christmas, but still fun and playful. Those are our requirements. So I think it's a
Seems like an
penguin
old
and
comic
inflatable.
strip you'd see in like a newspaper. Like
Yeah,
a penguin
exactly.
and a dreidel. Like
Yeah, so
all
yeah,
right.
way too much time on that. But anyway, so Christmas Vacation versus Christmas Story. I think a Christmas Vacation is going to win. I don't think it'll be a blowout like the first round, but I also don't think it'll be that close.
Yeah, I think Christmas Vacation's taking this one.
Yeah, Austin,
right.
you're going with Christmas Vacation too.
Christmas Vacation will probably win, but it's not because that I'm going to get creamed in the comments for this. I hate A Christmas Vacation.
What, like, are you a Satanist? I don't
I
understand.
I
We should
don't.
kick him
I
off the
think it's
podcast.
because I don't like Chevy. I don't think Chevy Chase is funny. He's not funny to me, and I don't know what it is. He's just not funny. And the fact that he's a big part of this movie ruins it for me. I don't like Chevy Chase. I don't like A Christmas Vacation, but I like A Christmas Story. So
it's a hot
Oh
take.
boy.
yeah,
you
I'm gonna
believe
get.
this
I know
guy?
I'm gonna get creamed in
hot
the
take.
comments for that, but I
Yes.
don't like Christmas Vacation. I don't.
Okay.
I am begging you.
Yikes.
Hold on. Oh my God. All right. I thought Jimmy would be on my side here, but he's not. I am begging anyone in the comments to just
Oh my God.
destroy Austin. Keep
Thank
it
you,
nice.
Jimmy.
I don't want Austin to cry or anything, but please destroy his opinion of this because it's so bad. You're like an almost mid-90s child though, right?
Mid 90s, 95.
I feel like maybe there's a little bit of an age
Yeah,
disconnect here,
maybe.
but
Yeah.
I mean, you're wrong no matter how old you
No,
are.
because he likes A
but-
Christmas Story better.
Yeah,
There's no age impact. He doesn't like Chevy Chase. He has no sense of humor. That's what it is.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm totally kidding.
You're just wrong. There's no
You're
other
just
way
wrong.
to define. Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's go here.
Now I'm angry, and I'm gonna take it out on whatever this next matchup is.
Did Batman Returns upset Die Hard or what? What happened here?
So Batman. So now we're going into our misfits category. This is movies that a lot of people in the comments are probably going to be debating whether they're even a Christmas movie or a holiday movie or not. And the first one I think really is going to spark a lot of people. It's number 1, Die Hard versus our 8 seed Batman Returns. And Batman Returns did not upset Die Hard. Die Hard wins 33-18.
Okay, that's closer than I thought.
Yeah,
Batman gave it a little
it's
bit of a
not
run for
bad.
his money. Okay.
So
yeah, it got on the board. That's nice.
And then this, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it. So this is where things get crazy. This is the misfit category. So intentionally, if you question if this is a Christmas movie, part of our process was that if a movie was nominated, it at worst would go into a play-in bracket where people can then vote for it to make this bracket of 32, which is now being trimmed down to 16. So Die Hard, Batman Returns, probably some other ones you're going to see below that you can't see on the screen right now. You're going to question a lot of these movies being Christmas movies to begin with. And that's the point. And sort of like Australia, where it's like an island of misfit toys who ended up there, and now it's the civilization. That's what we're doing here with this bracket. It's all of the misfit toys are going up against each other. So we don't have like Die Hard versus Batman Returns in the championship because people love those movies. So that's the concept here. Die Hard is the classic version of this, because every single year, no matter where you live or who you associate with, this is the debate. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? It's probably not, at least in my opinion, but we're going to have it in this bracket, and eventually it's going to have to go up against movies that are really Christmas movies, and hopefully it loses then. But against Batman Returns, I think I liked Batman Returns better, but I do like Die Hard as an action movie, and I don't have a problem with it winning, and I'm not surprised at all that it did.
Yeah, Die Hard gets the win here, and that makes sense. I mean, I was obsessed with Batman as a kid, so I love Batman Returns, and I love the video game too. I think it's a very underrated video game. Maybe we already said that.
It's a great video game. Yes.
Great video game. And Die Hard is solid. People who think Die Hard is really a Christmas movie just are not smart, but that's fine. So Die Hard's going to go up against one of these two jabronis in this next matchup. Who won this bad boy, Austin?
So fun fact, really quickly, Bruce Willis was like the 8th person to be cast as John.
Wow.
Yeah, he was definitely not the first choice.
Wow.
Who was the first choice?
Oh, I looked it up. I don't remember who it was. I'll have to look that up while
curious.
Yeah. But the other thing that I thought was interesting was this is actually the feature film debut of Alan Rickman.
Oh, that's
Really?
his first movie?
That was his first feature film.
This
Wow.
is like when we hear about the Betty
Nailed
White and
it.
sliced bread timelines, where like everything's on, like you don't realize how new sliced bread is, and you don't realize how old Betty White is. That's how I feel about Alan Rickman's filmography. I'm shocked. I really would have thought he was out for like an entire decade before that movie came out.
Well, he's was he in like TV shows and theater and stuff? Because maybe that's what happened. He just made
I
the jump.
believe Alan Rickman started on Broadway in musical theater.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I believe I read somewhere that he was in musical theater before he became a feature film actor.
Interesting.
I can see that because he's a really good actor, and I feel like
Yeah.
if you're a thespian before you're an actor, you're like way up there.
You talk about perfect castings. Like, this has nothing to do with this movie, but like Snape in the Harry Potter universe, like perfect casting.
Yes.
It doesn't get much better than that. He's a
Yeah.
great actor. Great actor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
One thing about Die Hard, this is gonna sound borderline like suspicious of me, but I could have sworn Carl Winslow played the cop that he's talking to in Die Hard, and I don't think he actually does. That actor.
there's no
plays-
way. There's no way that's not Carl Winslow.
Is it?
Look. I'm
Is
the
it
most
him?
racist person on earth if that is not Carl
Carl
Winslow.
Winslow.
It has to be.
Right?
I mean, Austin,
is.
you can double
I think
check.
you're
There's,
right.
there's no way that's not Carl Winslow.
I think you're right. I think
So
you're right. It is.
I found who was
It
who
is.
was
It is him.
originally. So the part, there's a story to this. The part was originally offered of John McClane was originally offered to Frank Sinatra.
Whoa!
And here's why. Because the movie Die Hard has a literary background. So it's kind of sort of the concept is based off of a movie called Nothing Lasts Forever. And that's a crime novel. And then they made a movie and and then it inspired another movie called The Detective, which Frank Sinatra starred,
Okay.
and Die Hard is supposed to be intertwined with The Detective. Okay.
Okay.
It's kind of like it's like a reboot of The Detective almost. And so they originally offered it to Frank Sinatra because he starred in The Detective. But at the time, Frank Sinatra was 73 years old. So he was like, I'm too old to do that. I'm not doing
Really
it.
old blue eyes at that point. Yeah.
That
that'll
also
happen.
surprises me that he
Yeah.
was that old. Yeah. Well, here's my connection. And first of all, yes, we've confirmed that is indeed Carl Winslow. So
Yeah.
you were not wrong.
Okay. All
Yeah. I was like,
Great.
there's no way.
Great cast for that
Yeah.
movie.
Here's
Yeah.
my other connection here. That was a battle, now that I know that, between New Jersey gods, Frank Sinatra and Bruce Willis. So either way, you were getting some Jersey in there.
God, next
You
you're
ended
gonna
up
tell
with
me
the
that
underground.
Bruce Springsteen was considered for the role.
Yeah, right. Like
And
Bon
then
Jovi
John
and
Bon
Bruce
Jovi, yeah.
Springsteen were too busy with their
Yeah.
careers. But we settled for Bruce Willis after Frank Sinatra
Can
turned
you
it down.
imagine John Bon Jovi facing off against Alan Rickman? Oh God, it's a
One day I'll have
parody. Just
a New
Oh.
Jersey celebrity bracket.
Here are other actors that are rumored to have been offered the part of John McClane before Bruce Willis.
it's gotta
So
be Patrick
first,
Swayze.
Clint Eastwood
Yeah.
owned the rights to Nothing Lasts Forever, and he wanted to take a stab at playing John McClane. That never happened. But
Okay.
other stars, other A-list actors that were offered the part of John McClane. So rumor has it Sylvester Stallone,
Okay.
I can see that.
Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
I can. Yeah.
Robert De Niro,
Okay.
Charles Bronson,
Okay.
Oh,
Nick Nolte,
Okay.
Mel Gibson,
Oh, see, now I have
Well,
a problem.
Richard Gere, Don Johnson, Burt Reynolds, and Richard D.
Burt
Anderson,
Reynolds.
who played MacGyver.
Wow.
Oh my God! Wow, they really wanted a jack of all trades. For
I
this
mean,
movie.
that is like a who's who of people who would be in that type of movie back then.
Well, Mel
uh,
Gibson got his buddy cop movie Dreams On in the next matchup.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
that's a
didn't
perfect
turn out too
segue.
bad for
It
him.
is.
Yeah.
So
Although
Uh,
all
yeah.
I'll add to that is that Richard Gere just has no business being in masculine roles. That's all I have to say.
They both-
It's
they
always
were-
weird to me.
Richard Gere and Bruce Willis were in the Jackal together,
Yeah,
so
Nice.
they got to star together eventually.
that's a joke I'm not touching. The next matchup is it happened on Fifth versus Lethal Weapon. So here's your segue into Mel Gibson. I think most people didn't know what it happened on Fifth was, so by default, Lethal Weapon was going to win.
yeah,
Which means we can spend the rest of this quick time talking about how Mel Gibson, in case you forgot, is extremely anti-Semitic, and racist. And Lethal Weapon destroyed it happened on Fifth. Now it's going up against Die Hard and Bruce Willis. So I'm gonna go with Die Hard. I like both of these movies, and obviously I'm not judging Lethal Weapon based on what happened afterwards with Mel Gibson, but that's more of a joke. I think Die Hard's the better movie anyway. But I will say this on a random tangent. I was listening to Howard Stern the other day because that's what I do when I'm in my car, the brief periods of time that I'm in it. And
Still listen to Howard Stern?
I do.
Wow,
That's
It's
a
like
whole
high
other
school
subject.
for me.
I
11
think
o'clock at
Howard
night.
Stern is the greatest interviewer in American history.
Has to be.
That's my hot
In
take.
American history.
Yeah, like of anyone who's ever been
Wow.
in broadcast media, I think Howard. And I mean, I'm a broadcast journalism major. I'm not saying this just like as a hot take. Technically, I think he is the best interviewer I've ever seen. That said, just by chance, he was playing the phone call, the clips of the Mel Gibson scandal back in the day, and I forgot how awful they like. I mean, it was like Mel Gibson should have never, ever been in Hollywood ever again for anything, and he
Still
is.
acting.
And the reason I bring that up is because Lethal Weapon, a remake, is coming out, rumored to have Mel Gibson
No
come
way.
come back. I don't know if as a main character, Austin. I don't know if you know. I think he's supposed to be in it. I'm not sure if he's the main character, but yeah, they were gonna have like the two old dudes, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, come back.
Speaking of old Christmas movies, tell me you've heard of Fat Man.
No. I don't know what
Fat
that is.
Man is a movie where Mel Gibson plays a retired Santa Claus that the FBI has tracked down to help them beat a terrorist. And it's
That's
like an
awesome.
action movie that came out like a few years ago. I saw this like scrolling through movies to watch, and like he's called Fat Man, and it's just Chris Kringle like being like, I guess like being like Die Hard and fighting off terrorists as like a retired Santa Claus.
That's amazing. So
anyways,
that's
Die
it.
Hard beats Lethal
Yeah.
Weapon next week. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, so
Mel
there you
Gibson.
go.
Mel Gibson's supposed to direct Lethal Weapon 5. I'm
it is.
not sure
Yep.
how much he's going to be in it, but he's
Yeah,
supposed to direct
You're
it.
right. I knew he was attached to it. He's supposed to be directing it. I do think though Danny Glover is supposed to be in it, but I don't know if Danny Glover is going to accept it. That's I think what left off. Also,
The
granted,
article I'm looking at says they're both supposed to be in it, and it seems like they're supposed to have a
Okay.
big role in it.
so there you go.
Come on,
So,
Dan.
yeah.
Come on.
A
Danny.
roundabout way of saying I was right, even though I had all of the small facts wrong.
Are they gonna get Chris Rock or Joe Pesci to show up?
I'll be honestly,
But I want a blonde-haired Joe Pesci though. I don't want like
Again-
brown-haired Joe Pesci. I want a blonde-haired Lethal Weapon 3 Joe Pesci to show up in this movie.
again, I can't repeat any of what Mel Gibson said, but go back. I guarantee you forgot how horrible it was.
Okay.
But the
Yikes.
fact that anyone who is Black or Jewish is working with him, even like 20 to 25 years later, actually surprises me. You knew what you want. I mean, it's not my cross to bear, but it's
Get it? Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's our
Uh,
next matchup. And I know, Jake, you had an opinion on one of these. So we had
Oh,
Gremlins
yeah.
versus Scrooge. Go ahead, take it away, Jake. What did you think of this
Well-
matchup and how did it end up?
I always had Scrooge winning this because I think Scrooge is fantastic and Bill Murray is he's great. Like, and we're gonna find out that Austin hates Bill Murray too, by the way, in a few minutes. But
Fun. Yeah.
Scrooge is great. Having Bill Murray just play that role, Ebenezer Scrooge, like, and it genius done. Very funny. Gremlins, I also had never seen until today, and I don't get it. Sorry, let me rewind. I get it, but I don't get the cult following behind this movie. Like, I love 80s movies, and I've seen some of them recently that I hadn't seen before, and I understand. But like, this movie, in my opinion, was not that great. I was actually very shocked at how much people love Gremlins and think it's one of the funniest movies they've ever seen, and greatest Christmas movie they've ever seen. I think it's terrible. And you got Chris Columbus, who's like the holiday god of movies.
He had a run.
Yeah. You have Steven Spielberg. You have Kathleen Kennedy, who, if you don't know, is Disney Star Wars. So like, you have just juggernauts at the pen for this film, and you even have Judge Reynolds in it, and the other chick from the movie where she gets out of the pool. What's that movie called? Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh.
And so they're both in it, which was shocking to see. But I don't know. I like it. It's not a bad movie. I didn't walk away saying that was a terrible movie. I think it's highly overrated. Did it lose? Did it win?
So this was the closest vote out of all of the votes that we had. This one was the closest. This was separated by 4 votes.
Whoa.
So Gremlins got 31 votes. Scrooged got 35 votes. So Scrooged won. And by the way, I love Bill Murray. I think Bill Murray is a comedic genius.
All right, you've redeemed yourself.
There you go. Well, that's not a full redemption, but you're on the board now. Yeah, I mean, this made sense to me. If Gremlins won, I would have accused of name recognition, but Scrooge won, I'm going to accuse it of sticking with the holiday theme, which I support. So for me, like, I don't have a strong opinion of either movie, but I would have chosen Scrooge just solely based on that aspect. So there you go. It won 4 versus 5. That was a good matchup. Good seating there.
What in the hell is Tokyo Godfathers?
Yeah, Tokyo Godfathers is a great movie, apparently, according to its ratings.
Yeah.
And apparently it does have Christmas tie-ins. It went up against Bad Santa. Now, this is the Misfits category. And for me, you're going to have obviously Die Hard and Lethal Weapon and a Bloodbath. And one of them is going to be in that Elite 8. But Bad Santa, to me, if you're going to choose a misfit holiday movie, is the best Misfit holiday movie because it just turns the concept of Santa Claus on its head. It's entertaining. It's a good movie. It has Christmas themes to it. It's exclusively Christmas related because the main character's job is to be a mall Santa, and it's got a good cast. It's led by Billy Bob Thornton, and what's her Lauren Graham. So yeah, I mean again, it's something with the sevens. Christmas Vacation and Bad Santa has a legitimate shot to face each other in the final four as 7 seeds. And spoiler alert, Bad Santa wins this in a landslide.
Landslide victory.
So really quickly, just so that we can give Tokyo Godfathers its merit. Tokyo Godfathers is what looks like an anime type movie.
Okay. Now it's got my interest.
It came out in 2003. And according to IMDb, the really quick, I guess, synopsis is it says on Christmas Eve, 3 homeless people living on the streets of Tokyo discover a newborn baby among the trash and set out to find its parents.
Yeah, it's like okay. I was gonna say it's like
It
Asian
was-
Moses, but
it
it's
was
not really.
praised by a couple people in the Pop Culture Life group as it being a really good movie. I haven't seen it yet, but people that have seen it say it's really good.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's one of those
yeah.
underground type
Probably.
movies.
And I like anime, which Cowboy Bebop has a live action anime now on Netflix. I gotta watch. But too bad it went up against Bad Santa. Another
Yeah.
perfect
What was
casting.
the final? What was the
Bob.
final count on that?
Final count was Bad Santa over Tokyo Godfathers 36-4.
Yeah,
Brutal.
yeah. So those people liked Tokyo Godfather, but they fully understood that Bad Santa's the better holiday movie. So yeah,
What if there's just 4 people in our Pop Culture Life group who liked it and knew what it was.
yeah, who are cultured.
Yeah, cultured. Yeah.
Yeah. So 5 versus 7. So that's the left side of the bracket. So to reiterate, we've got Scrooge versus Bad Santa, 5 versus 7, the Misfits in the and that's going to go up against winner of Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, 1 versus 6, or 1 still alive there. If you go all the way to the top there in the classics category, It's a Wonderful Life, number 1, going up in a tough matchup against 6 ranked Home Alone, and then 4 Christmas Story versus 7 Christmas Vacation. I don't think there is a single upset on the left side of the bracket, Jake. I think everything went pretty much to how we expected it to.
Yeah, despite the seeds, I think it went the way we thought it was going to go. I think the only surprise that I have is probably Gremlins losing, just because, and maybe it's the people I talked to, but I heard such outpour of compliments on that movie. So that's the one that shocked me in losing. And I thought Scrooge would be a little, even though they're both technically old movies, I think more people are familiar with Gremlins than Scrooge. But
I would have thought that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think Scrooge is the better choice for a holiday
better
movie.
flick.
But yeah. So there you go. I would choose the ones that I said. Bad Santa,
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation. Well, that's where we have the one disagreement. You think Home Alone's gonna win? I'm gonna stick with Christmas Vacation, but it wouldn't. I think that's gonna be really close. We move on to the modern side, the right side of the bracket, and this is probably going to be the most relatable bracket to everyone, whether you're a big holiday movie enthusiast or you're not. And we're going to start here with Nightmare Before Christmas, which to me is probably more of a Halloween movie, but it definitely belongs to be, it belongs here. Going up against Just Friends, which Just Friends had a really, really positive outlook in Pop Culture Life. Like, a lot of people were like, this movie really is pretty good, even though it's an 8 seed. But I'm not surprised at all. Austin, I assume Nightmare Before Christmas won this pretty handily.
Yeah, pretty handedly at that. By the way, Jimmy agrees with you, Jake, and says that Scrooged is better than Gremlins.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yes.
He also said Scrooge better than Bad Santa. So now we're getting crazy.
My cousin Lindsay agrees that Gremlins is no bueno.
Yeah, which, by the way,
All right. Shout out to
speaking
my
of
cousin
Jake,
Lindsay.
your Santa hat with the headphones over it in what I assume is not an igloo temperature room, as someone with a dysautonomia, that is like mind-blowing to me. I'm so impressed that you can do that and you're not even like sweating.
It's for the cast, man.
See,
And I will tell you that this. So I also dress up as Santa every year. Don't Not telling any one of my kids, but
Yeah.
I dress up as Santa. I surprise them. So this is like the hat that came with it, and like this part is actually like this big. I had to like fold it, so it's like folded. You can't see it's folded on my head right now, which is making it even hotter. So
That's
yeah,
unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, your head has to be like 108 degrees right now.
and I have long hair now. I don't
Yeah.
have.
Oh, right.
straight
Yeah.
head, so
That's
yeah.
insane. Anyway, back to it. So Nightmare Before Christmas beats Just Friends. Am I right about that?
Yes, Nightmare Before Christmas wins 33-18.
Okay. Just Friends did a little bit more damage than I thought. I will say,
Mhm.
for those of you that haven't seen it, it is worth a watch. You may be shocked to see how much you like this movie coming out on the other end. It's got Ryan Reynolds before I think Ryan Reynolds became super mainstream, and Anna Faris, and it's just very funny, very good, feel good story. All the elements of Christmas in this movie, pure Christmas, and just a really, really good flick. One of my buddies, Frank Rondo, has been active in pop culture about this one, and he has every right to because it's really good. But Nightmare Before Christmas is a classic. It could potentially, if we had a Halloween bracket, win 2 brackets. That's how good of a movie it is. And at doing both Halloween and Christmas, my son's favorite movie. We watch it 45,000 times a year. And yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas to me is like Bo Jackson. Like, not the best in football, not the best in baseball. Amazing, it could be categorized for both. But yeah, I mean, I think Nightmare Before Christmas is one of those movies no one necessarily dislikes, but it's also, unless you're 3, like your son, it's not anyone's favorite either. So a long way of saying that I don't think it has any chance to get past the next round. And the reason for that is that the matchup of its opponent is winner of Elf and Christmas with the Cranks. And as if that's not a tease, there is a massive, massive, massive following for Elf because it's recent. It's got Will Ferrell, who I also hate. And
dumb.
But I do like Elf, though. This is my favorite Will Ferrell movie, which is basically like picking your favorite like bacterial infection.
Before we go to this matchup real quick, I just want to give you a fun fact. Danny Elfman, who you may know doing
Awesome.
the music score for
Batman Returns.
most Tim Burton movies, including Batman Returns, also in this bracket, he voiced Jack Skellington.
Did he really?
Yeah, and he said that this movie was the most fun and easiest movie to score out of all of the movies he's ever done.
Wow.
And the songs are amazing, right? Like amazing. Is it a musical? It should be a musical if it's not. Like on Broadway.
I think it is categorized as a musical.
But have they like adapted it to like either Broadway or off Broadway or like?
I don't think so. I haven't seen that.
They should. That's like, oh man, that's a big miss there. They also in Disneyland, they turn during the holiday season, they turn the Haunted Mansion ride into Nightmare Before Christmas themed. They like redo it for like
That's
the
cool.
entire holiday season. It's
I
really,
actually like that better than when it's just the Haunted Mansion.
yeah, I don't blame you. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it like that, but Haunted Mansion was one of my favorite rides when I was a kid. So
Well, when you have Shay, you're going to have, literally constant YouTube video watching all the time. And
Yeah.
you will watch it regardless if you've seen it or not at this point. So
she's not allowed television and she's gonna have to get a job. That's my way of getting around that. So yeah. So Elf, I think suffice it to say that I'm gonna guess, because I already forgot the scores. I'm gonna guess Elf won like major big. Even though Christmas with the Cranks, I don't think is terrible, but I'm gonna guess it Elf won handily, very handily.
I agree with you. I don't like Will Ferrell in most movies except Elf. I really like Elf. I watch it every year. But yes, Elf beat Christmas with the Cranks very handedly. The score for this one was 51-4.
Whoa.
Yeah, it got creamed, which is sad because I do like Christmas with the Cranks. I think, I don't think the score merits it's Christmas with the Cranks is not the greatest Tim Allen Christmas movie, let alone Christmas movie.
Sure.
But I think I don't think the score merits kind of how much I appreciate Christmas with the Cranks.
I
Anyway.
will say, Austin, too, like, I thought going to this competition, I would be the only person who knew what that movie was, Christmas with the Cranks. And
I
and
watch that movie every year.
Right, me too. Yeah, it's a tradition for me too. And I figured if people do know what that movie is, they watch like 10 minutes of it and stopped watching after that. But like, I was shocked by how many people in pop culture, even though they voted for Elf, knew what Christmas with the Cranks was.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it. I was like shocked. And same thing with Fred Claus. Like, we're gonna talk about Fred Claus later too. Like, there's some of these movies that like just didn't do that well in the grand scheme of things, but people actually do love.
I mean, here's the thing. That's a testament to Elf. Like, you can only vote for one. It's not like you can rank Elf and Christmas with the Cranks. So I'm actually surprised in a vacuum, if you look at it that way, that 4 people voted for Christmas with the Cranks, because that implies to me that they actually don't like Elf, which is
or they like it less.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, look, we chose Elf to make the championship in the opening week that we did this. Yeah. And I still think that's true. And that's why I think Nightmare Before Christmas, I don't even think this is going to be close. I think it's not going to be 51-4 bad, but I will be surprised if Nightmare Before Christmas makes it out of the teens as far as votes go. I think it's going to be something like 45-17.
Wow. That's an abomination.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on
let's move on to our next matchup here.
Bottom side.
Speaking of musicals, Nightmare Before Christmas is not a musical, but Elf is.
Yeah.
They have made Elf a musical.
Interesting.
It doesn't have one song? No, 2 songs, because they sing at the end and then Zoe's singing in the shower, right?
I think so here's
which is one of my favorite scenes, by the way, when
it's been adapted into
a shower with Zoe Deschanel.
Well, it's Zoe in a shower, so it's one of my favorite scenes too.
I think it's been adapted into a musical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I meant. It's been adapted into a musical.
Yeah.
Evidently, Chris
love
Henry, who is in Pop Culture Life, his child is in Elf the musical. So
whoa.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sweet.
That's pretty cool. I agree, Chris Henry. I like Will Ferrell too. I don't know why. I don't get all the hate. I hear it often. I know it's like the cool thing to do. Like, let's just hate on Will Ferrell. I think he's great and everything. I like that. I haven't seen a lot of his serious stuff, but Night at the Roxbury is actually my favorite comedy ever. So like, I like Will Ferrell a lot. So
I think he's a good sketch.
Yes, right.
I don't think he's great at starring in a movie.
Yes. So Austin, you and I and my sister, most notably in Pop Culture Life, have the exact same opinion of Will Ferrell. I shouldn't say I don't hate him. I think Will Ferrell has a place in show business. I just don't think it's as a lead actor. He should be a bit performer. I think SNL was really his peak for me. Even though I didn't mind him in Elf and A Night at the Roxbury, which are the only 2 that come to mind where his role didn't just straight up like annoy me in some way. I still think he should have just been on something like SNL for the rest of his life, and he would have been fine for me. So anyway, so that's how long I've disliked him in lead roles. Like even Eastbound and Down as Ashley Schaefer, I'm like, okay, that's fine, funny show. I'm glad you're not Kenny Powers. Yeah. So we move on to this next matchup here.
What are the Elf? What's your favorite color?
And we've got the Santa Claus.
Yeah, buddy.
Again, Austin, is not the British movie also called Santa Claus, right?
No, this is the Santa
Claus. There's the Santa Claus, like the sentence, which is the one with Tim Allen. And then there's Santa Claus, the movie, which I think got into this bracket because it was confused as the Santa Claus.
It's a total fraud. Yeah. And I distinctly told everyone, this is like that dude in Miami who just walked into hospitals and pretended he was a doctor and got away with it for like years until he got arrested for a felony.
It's actually also, that's hilarious. Actually, it's also like the Santa Claus 2, where the Santa Claus clones himself and the elves are to believe that that's the real Santa Claus that's running the shop while he's trying to find the person he has to marry to maintain being Santa. So it would just be great. It won't happen, but it would have been great if these 2 faced off somehow in this tournament and people were just like confused and didn't know what to do.
Yeah, that would have been just awful. Anyway, this is the Tim Allen Santa Claus, which to me is a fantastic. I actually I think it's an underrated Christmas movie. It's because it
Underrated?
yeah, it captures for me. This is what I look for in a Christmas movie. The reason that I like It's a Wonderful Life just a little bit more than Christmas Vacation as my favorite is because it captures the spirit of Christmas the best out of anything. The Santa Claus, if you go back and watch it, does something very similar. It really, to me, captures the spirit of Christmas really, really well. And it's dressed up as a comedy. And going up against Fred Claus, which is like people have heard of it, but I'm sure it's no one's favorite. It's a 4 or 5 matchup, but it's not like the 4 or 5 matchup with Gremlins. This one to me, if I remember correctly, Santa Claus won big, and I don't think that that was a mistake. And I think that Santa Claus has some staying power. I don't remember what the next matchup is, but to me, it's a rock solid holiday movie.
I go watch the Santa Claus all the time. It's a great movie. I love Fred Claus, but I mean Santa Claus is like a classic. It's funny you say underrated. I think it's appropriately rated because people love it. I have never heard
Overwhelmed by it. You're not under or overwhelmed. You're just whelmed.
Well, I think it's just rated appropriate. I think people are
Yeah.
obsessed with it. I don't think like it's like not viewed as like one of the top Christmas movies when you go to like turn on your 25 Days of Christmas. And Tim Allen, yeah, he's a beast, and this role was ironically perfect for him.
Yeah.
But
Lots of
like
snow.
another Judge Reynolds appearance. He's Neil with the sweaters in the Santa
Wow.
Claus. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Here's another
Gremlins,
fun fact. The Santa Claus is the first movie that Tim Allen stars in. Before this, he was a supporting actor. The Santa Claus is his
Oh.
first one where he's the star of the movie.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
wow.
Well, I'm assuming he got his break on Home Improvement. Is that right? Or am I?
I
Did
would
I not
I would,
know
well,
about his
he
career
was a
before
he
that?
was a stand-up comedian first.
Right, but I'm saying his Hollywood.
Home
like
Improvement was
he's
his
like
I think
Home Improvement launched his
was
career.
his breakout role.
Okay.
And then he had supporting acting roles in movies. And then the Santa Claus was his first starring role, which
Okay.
is interesting because this is a Disney movie and Disney does not hire actors with a felony on their record. Tim Allen does.
Well,
Mhm.
I hired him a couple of times later. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about it last time. Like if you want to look it up or don't look it up, if you want to keep your positive impression of Timothy Allen, because
Oh, you got a great mugshot though.
quickly be disappointed. It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know who's like I will say is the underrated character of the Santa Claus. He's only in the first two, but the trilogy is
Bernard.
Bernard, thank you.
Yes.
He is
Love
Jay.
Bernard.
awesome, and that actor was fantastic. Like you watch that movie and you're just like, oh my god, he's great. He's hilarious. He's like a pissed off like like cranky elf that just has to keep the ship running, and he just plays it so well. And yeah, I mean that character is awesome. Bernard's great.
So what was the final tally here?
The final tally is Santa Claus over Fred Claus, 44-6.
Oof.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me, but
That's a pounding.
Brutal.
Yeah. So you've got two. Yeah. I mean, well, they're not playing each other.
Which is sad because Fred Claus, I mean, I think you said it 2 weeks ago. I don't think you could have said that we're going to have a movie with Vince Vaughn and Paul Giamatti in it, and it's a
Kevin
Christmas
Spacey.
movie. And
Yeah.
Kevin
Spacey.
Spacey.
Yeah,
and
that was a good
Rachel
Christmas
Weisz.
movie. Like I would have never thought it was a Christmas movie. So
Yeah.
And the little kid from Role Models plays the orphan kid that's like bad that Vince Vaughn like knows and basically wants to take care of. Random cast, but yeah, that's a star. We talked about this last time. Star-studded cast. It's a good movie. It's like not bad. Go watch it. It's not Santa
Yeah.
Claus, but it's it's
Right.
fun. It's I love the whole like it's the brother of Santa Claus. Like it's not featured about Santa Claus. Like it's the brother of Santa Claus. Oh,
I did-
Luda's in it too.
Nice.
Ah,
I did
it's
like
ludicrous.
the concept. I felt like the concept was a little refreshing for Fred Claus, but it wasn't going to beat Santa Claus. And spoiler alert, this is about to get blown wide open because Love
Right.
Actually was. Look, I said this in the beginning. I did not think Love Actually was going to make the Final Four. And the reason is it's very polarizing to people and it's not aging well from like a romantic standpoint. Like what was considered romance in 2004 or so, whenever this movie came out, is not quite the same in 2021. And then on top of that, it's like a largely British cast, which we've learned in pop culture life does not tend to do well in the ratings. And then on top of that, it just is the storylines are very polarizing for people. So for Love Actually, it's on my Rushmore of movies that I watch for Christmas, and I love it, but I didn't think it was going to do great. And it turns out I was right, because it lost to a stupid movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh my God. Stupid movie?
Yeah, it's a dumb movie.
It's a perfect movie for Christmas. You talk about the elements of Christmas, Jingle All the Way, literally from the music to the story, which hasn't been done before, which parents go through. Find the hottest toy of the season. I double dare ya. It's a freaking biatch of a one to go find. It's great. It's got like so many different characters, and Sinbad
is awesome.
He is, I said this last time, Austin, he may be the best character like in any Christmas movie. Like his character in this movie is just so damn good, and he is hilarious in general. He was not a genie, by the way, in any movie. But
can I read you real quick? Here's the immediate feedback to what your opinion is right now. In order: Love Actually for the vote, Stupid is accurate, never seen it, it's horrible, and what a bad movie. So
wait, are they talking about Jingle All the Way or Love Actually?
Jingle All the Way.
Well, you gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's unanimous that I'm right. My other problem here, Jake, is that I'm going to Seinfeld you here. Jingle All the Way is outdated because you can just go on Amazon.
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. But I don't think Liam Neeson is playing in any Christmas movies nowadays.
You can totally get Claudia Schiffer.
That's fair. I mean, I did like the song that Bill Nye sings in the beginning. That hooked me, and then I lost interest after an hour or a half hour. But Jingle All the Way. Moving on.
Yes.
Pretty
wild. What was the vote count on that? Because I think it wasn't even that close.
The vote count is 31-21 in favor of Jingle All the Way. I love Jingle All the Way. The only part of Jingle All the Way that I don't care for is the kid in that movie.
Yep,
is very
Jake Lloyd.
bad. He's very, very bad. But
are you saying that because he becomes Anakin, or you just like have hated him in everything he's ever done?
No, he's bad. He's just bad.
I'm just checking.
Cheska.
I mean, yeah, it's really bad. But there's a lot of quote. I like Sinbad's rant at the beginning, where they're in front of the Toy Story, and he talks about how everybody's sleeping with his wife at the post office.
He took psychology for a semester, so he knows what's going on. Or when when Arnold's character yells at Ted to put the cookie down. Put Phil
that cookie
Hartman
down.
These are my cookies. Dude,
all I'm saying here,
Hartman as the neighbor. Perfect
Alicia
cast.
Cooper, Shannon Elizabeth, Mr. Bean, Liam Neeson, Claudia Schiffer, Hugh Grant, Colin Firth,
Alicia Cuthbert.
Yep, Andrew Lincoln. All of them were in Love Actually.
Oh, it's got Rodrigo Santoro. I forgot about that. I'm a huge Rodrigo Santoro fan.
Cuthbert was one of the hot American chicks that the British dude ends up like having a foursome with at the end. I don't know if I assume they had a foursome. They all slept.
Richards. Oh my god.
Yeah. She was like, they're basically, if you saw it in the credits, it would be like Hot Girl 1, Hot Girl 2, Hot Girl 3. They didn't have a big role, but they're still in it.
Wow.
And I think that kid became something, right? I forget what he like became something relevant. The kid who Liam Neeson's son in the movie. He went and starred in something else like later, like
he's in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, thank you. That's what it is. Yeah, he went on to be.
He's not King Joffrey.
No, he's not. He's
no.
He looks like Robin Hood. He's or not Robin Hood, Peter Pan. He's the one who brings paralyzed Stark on his journey to go seek out the third eye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good for you for remembering any of that terminology. I saw
took me a
every
second.
episode of Game of Thrones.
Well, I
and
called
couldn't
him
tell you a
Paralyzed
single-
Stark. I didn't
yeah.
give him a name, but paraplegic Stark. What's his name?
Paraplegic. Bran.
Bran
Bran,
Stark.
yeah,
Thank you.
Bran.
Yeah, well, who, by the way, that's a whole different cat. I hate that character. But anyway, back to
I agree.
back. Yeah, he was annoying as hell. So Jingle All the Way going up against Santa Claus. You can
Oof.
definitely argue that Jingle All the Way was
Can
probably,
they be the George Mason of this bracket?
I
Can
think
they
Jingle
do
All
it?
the Way was the biggest upset of the entire first round.
Has to be.
Probably.
And it wasn't really that close. I mean, it was a comfortable win. So hey, look, it's obviously this next matchup's very intriguing to me. Santa
So-
Claus obviously did really well, and Jingle All the Way it far
Yeah.
exceeded expectations to me.
It's gonna be interesting. I think Santa Claus, given the comments we're seeing on this podcast, I actually starting to wonder if Santa Claus might take this side of the bracket now, because there's a lot of people that love this movie and watch it every year. So I'm almost wondering if somehow it upsets Elf. But I said in our last podcast that Jingle All the Way would come out and start firing, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, it's going to upset the number 2 seed college football team." But then it winds up getting blown out in the second half. It didn't happen. It kept the lead the whole time and won, which was shocking to me.
Yeah, I do think I'm gonna give. I think Santa Claus will pull this out,
Okay.
but it's
All
a
right.
toss up. It's a toss up to me. I think Santa Claus will pull it out.
Shannon
Let's get-
agrees with you. Shannon says 100. The Santa Claus will win it all.
Yeah, well, I
Wow.
mean, Shannon's like the greatest. There's, that's not surprising. Let's go on here. This is our last duo of matchups, right?
Yes, this is our last bracket. So now we're going into the kids bracket.
Yeah.
This is more family, I guess you want to call it. Like this, these all have the distinction of a family movie, and it's more animated, cartoony type, and they fall into more of a kids category.
Yeah, so this is where I've got a lot of blind spots. But I have seen The Grinch Stole Christmas. I've seen both the Jim
Both.
Carrey one and the one that's good. And it goes up against Santa Claus the movie, which, as we mentioned, is the fraud of the entire bracket. It's like some British movie no one's ever heard of, but has a title
It's got
that
what's
got
his-
it here.
John
Yeah.
Lithgow.
Santa Claus the movie is when I was 20. I was in Key Biscayne with a friend from college before I had my before I was 21, could drink legally. We walked into a Ritz-Carlton using fake IDs. I drank a couple of $18 screwdrivers, and we just mingled in this room with people who were like archaeologists or something. I don't remember. It's like some convention for something. We just pretended we belonged there. That's what the Santa Claus is. It's a 20-year-old overpaying for screwdrivers and talking to total strangers about something they know nothing about.
You really make white people look bad.
Yeah,
Gosh,
that's what I was
sneaking
doing
into
when I
the
was 20.
Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
Drinking
Yeah.
screwdrivers.
Well, we were walking along the beach. That was like the first thing we saw that like welcomed the public. So anyway,
Oh,
Santa
man.
Claus, I didn't think had a chance once people realized it was a fraud. And the Grinch is you can say it's a classic Christmas movie. I don't think it's a particularly good one, but you could say it's a classic Christmas movie.
The original is absolutely classic. It's actually featured in Home Alone 2. when he's in
Yeah.
the limo.
Yeah, good point. So
My-
and it's a 1 seed. So again,
I don't
you
know
guys-
if my wife. Sorry, I cut you off. I don't know
No,
if my
that's
wife
okay.
is watching, but Jess, she's a sucker for like feel good turnaround stuff. So she'll cry in a lot of different movies. For
I'm
that reason.
shocked. I
She-
can't believe that your wife would be like that.
She cries. Now we've watched this movie since we've had kids together, probably 30 times at this point. The original Grinch, not the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah.
And when his heart turns 3 sizes bigger, she just waterworks every time. It's almost like conditioned. Like, doesn't matter. She could be like in another room and like the movie comes on. All of a sudden she comes in running, crying. I'm like, how'd you even know this was happening? Like, she just every time she loses it. So
It's like having a newborn. Just
Yeah.
immediately. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, what was the vote tally here? Because I'm pretty sure it wasn't close.
The vote tally for this was you want to talk about getting rocked or getting clapped, whatever
The
vernacular.
clap is
you
my
wanna
favorite
use.
topic, Austin. Yes, I wanted to talk about it.
This one was our largest differential of votes. Thankfully, thank you, Pop Culture Life, for showing up and getting this fraud of a movie out of here. The Grinch Stole Christmas 61.
Wow.
The Santa Claus the movie 3.
3.
Oh my God. 3 people said
I want a
3
list.
still said that it was better than I mean whoever
That's a
did this-
protest vote. There's no way those 3 people have even
Who's my
seen this
dude?
movie,
Wait,
let
who's the-
alone think it's better.
who's the British guy in the pop culture groups or in all the life groups? What's his
Yeah.
name?
Caleb. I haven't
Caleb,
seen-
yeah.
I
With
or Caleb. Sorry, not Caleb.
Caleb, was he one of those votes?
I'm gonna have to check. If these 3 people are not British citizens, English citizens,
It's probably Felipe, Callum,
yeah.
and
Someone's a
Felipe,
hipster.
Felipe would
He's-
do that.
He
Yeah.
might. He might. I've seen his Jordan thoughts
it's
in
because
basketball.
Felipe loves the music and the British version of this movie, and we've never heard of any of the artists before. That's why.
Like, I mean, come on. This is like when people are like, the Beatles suck. Like, I love, I don't, some underground group no one's ever heard of. It's just like getting like, stop. Those 3 people just need to just stop. Like, hit the brakes, validate, rethink your life for a second. Let's move on.
Maybe
Anyway,
people were still under the impression this was the Santa Claus.
yeah, they
Mr.
still got
Device.
confused,
Yeah, they
even
still
with
got
the
confused.
disclaimers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grinch moves on. That wasn't close,
61
nor
to
should it be.
3.
And
Yikes. Like
yeah, it's
Ohio
the one.
State.
And Grinch, I think you pointed this out off air, Jake, is just gonna have a cakewalk into the next
Yeah,
round.
I don't see a single movie in this bracket coming close, unless Jess creates 50 fake accounts for Charlie Brown at Christmas. That's the only way this happens.
No, it's even worse. It's going in. Oh, well, you mean for the Final Four? Yeah.
Really quick fun fact: Grinch Who Stole Christmas was featured as a movie in Home Alone. The other 2 movies that are featured in Home Alone and Home Alone 2 are called Angels with Filthy Souls, and then the next, and then in number 2 is Angels with Even Filthier Souls. Those 2 are not real movies.
Yeah, they made them
Those
just
were
for the-
shot for specifically the Home Alone. Those are not real movies.
Chris Columbus, you magnificent bastard.
That I knew that they weren't real movies. I never knew that those were the titles. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
With filthier souls.
Angels
yeah.
with Even Filthier Souls. is
That's
the second
funny.
one.
So Grinch is going to destroy the winner of this matchup, which was Claus versus Arthur Christmas. This is another thing. I feel like Claus is like playing it straight. Arthur Christmas maybe a little bit less so. I think I voted. I really didn't care at all about this matchup, but I think I voted for Claus just based on being the higher seed. I was like, I'll take other people's word for it. So I don't know. Jake, have you seen? I have seen parts of both of them. I don't think I've
Okay.
seen either chronologically through. And
I've
I think
seen
I feel
both
like
of
Claus
them.
was like the better movie.
Yeah, I think it's pretty commonly said that Claus is better. I think I just enjoyed Arthur Christmas more. I
Yeah.
didn't really care for either of them, to be honest, but I enjoyed Arthur Christmas. I'm a huge, again, fan of the like family member of Santa Claus being featured.
Yeah,
So
that
his
is
son-
cool. Yeah.
Son of Santa Claus, and they have like a whole like it's almost like a military operation of Santa Claus. Like, so it's
Yeah.
kind of neat. And it's one of those like animated movies that just they could, if they spent a little bit more time making it, it could have been like, it probably could have turned into a classic, but they really didn't, and it kind of flopped when it came out. Where Claus actually came out really good timings. I think it debuted on Netflix, and so people were like, "Oh, what's this Christmas movie?" And they watched and like, "Oh man, it's got a really good story."
The
So-
next Santa relative movie I'd like to see is he has a very promiscuous niece and like has to convince her to like stop doing the thing she's doing and get into the spirit of the holidays. I think that would be the next angle I'd like to see as far as Santa's family tree. So Austin, what did we have for scores on this matchup?
So I was talking to somebody who has seen this movie, and she's actually an actress. So she studies film and
awesome.
does all this stuff. And she says that this movie is pronounced Klaus. But
Oh,
I don't-
she's
I
right.
don't-
Makes sense.
I would think that's the correct pronunciation, but I mean, it's a Christmas movie, so I would assume they would want it to be called Claus, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway, so this matchup was actually not as close as I thought it was going to be. I like Arthur Christmas. I mean, I don't like it as much as some of the other movies. I don't think it's fantastic, but it's not terrible. I do enjoy watching it. There are some good like one-liners and stuff in it, and I like the concept. Anyway, I've never seen Klaus, whatever you want to call it, but that's going to be on my list. But this one was was not as close as I thought it was going to be. Klaus, whatever you want to call it, moves on to the next round by the score of 21-2.
Wow.
21-2. Wow. Speaking of, so I guess Arthur Christmas got the lowest amount of votes in this group.
They
Speaking
got
of,
the lowest amount of movie or votes in this group, and that's with the fraud British movie that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
they even
that's-
fell to the fraud British movie.
I
like,
think this
um,
also had the lowest count in general.
Yeah,
Probably.
people
'cause
were
most
just like,
had never
what
seen
is-
these
what is
movies.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't think
speaking of-
anybody really cared about this one.
Yeah.
Austin, speaking of holiday movies with the letter K, did Krampus not make it?
Krampus was in the was nominated, was not high enough to make it into the 28 auto bids. So we put it in the wild card, and it just missed. I think it was like
Wow.
6th or 7th.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. So I mean, Grinch is just gonna crush this one too.
Boom. See you later.
So yeah, 1 versus 3. That's nice. But Grinch is gonna kill it. So let's go to these next two, the final two of the night. Muppets Family Christmas versus Year Without a Santa Claus. Which again, this fits into my category of I love the concept of Year Without a Santa Claus. Like that to me is original. It's nice, kind of like Santa Claus, but not really. Up against Muppets Family Christmas. What were your thoughts on this one, Jake?
This is probably one of the matchups that I was just like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But I think I wound up going the Year Without Santa Claus because I don't even think Muppet Family Christmas is the best Muppets Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And so I do like the, all those old cartoony Misfit Toys type animated movie, clay animation movies in the holidays. So I was down with the Year Without Santa Claus.
I hate claymation, and I honestly I don't know if I voted on this matchup because I was on vacation at the time and then had like vicious food poisoning after that. Yeah, it's a great week for
What's
me.
with you and my
But,
sister and getting food poisoning while being on vacation?
yeah, we don't like enjoying our vacations.
You should get it
Um,
before, like me, like
Right, yeah.
before instead. Yeah.
Before you have to get on a plane is
Yeah.
when I should get it. Yeah. No, we choose to get it like the last day of our vacations. I would have voted for Year Without a Santa Claus despite hating claymation, only because I actually agree with you, Jake, that this isn't even like a top 5 Muppets movie, and it's not even the best Muppets holiday movie, and it's like
Right.
neither of these movies move the needle for me whatsoever. So by default, I'd kind of go with Year Without a Santa Claus, just based on the topic, like the plot. I would have gone with Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what was the
And
final
just
vote on
real-
that, though?
So
Sorry,
the final
Jake, you
vote-
go first.
I was gonna say, I can't believe this, but Mickey Rooney plays Pierre Noel. Is that is that true?
Yes, that
Oh
is
my
Mickey Rooney
God.
in the movie. Yeah.
Well, now it should win the championship.
That's awesome.
So Pop Culture Life actually disagrees with you both.
Oh no.
Wow.
It's a
Muppet?
4 or 5. I mean, it's not surprising. And
Muppets Family Christmas beats Year Without a Santa Claus, which I voted for Year Without a Santa Claus. I agree. I think I like the concept of Year Without a Santa Claus. It's not the best Christmas movie, but I do like the concept.
Creative.
But this one, Muppets Family Christmas beats Year Without a Santa Claus 20-9.
wow. Well, another low score because people have never heard of these.
Yeah.
Muppets might have a little bit of a.
I think
a
it's because everybody
following
knows who the
going for
Muppets
it.
are.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to help in the next round.
Do you think people mix
But it
this
could.
up with Muppets Christmas Carol?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Maybe, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I think Year Without the Santa Claus just didn't have the backing to compete here. But now we have our last matchup.
Real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
For those of you Super Muppets fans, feel free to YouTube Kermit the Frog singing Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up, because that is a thing. So enjoy that. Go ahead.
Sweet.
Continue.
So final matchup here, Charlie Brown Christmas. He did not like the R in his name. Charlie Brown Christmas.
Charlie Brown. It's the
Yeah.
Boston. version. Charlie Brown.
Charlie
Me in
Brown
Boston.
Christmas.
Yeah. Charlie
going,
Brown's Wicked Christmas.
as the 2 seed here. Maybe the 2 seed has a curse, and we know about those 7s going up against Polar Express. And I'll tell you, on the hatred side of these movies, this is my second most. Christmas Story, like I said, is like the Antichrist of movies. Charlie Brown Christmas would be second. It's not close, but it would be second for me. I hate anything Charlie Brown, but I especially hate his Christmas movies or his Christmas movie. I was locked in a room as a child watching this over and over again, and it was never good at any point. So I don't suggest it. It's like that scene in Walking Dead when they lock Daryl in like that imprisonment and he just listens to the same terrible song over and over again. That's what I think about. Went up against Polar Express, which
Wait, you didn't like that song?
I actually like the song,
Street?
but I can imagine if I'm Daryl hearing it like a month straight or whatever, I'd probably get tired of it and want to die.
I love that scene. Although that was like a really bad follow-up to like the shocker of the episode before, where you're just like,
yeah, it was totally different pace,
brutal.
like totally different tone. Polar Express is a good, feel-good, rock-solid movie to me. Well, the movie I think we discussed last time is not that great, but I'm gonna base it on the story itself and the book. And the book is like one of my favorite holiday books of anything. So for me, this was a no-brainer. I voted Polar Express, and I actually think Polar Express is a pretty good shot at the Elite Eight.
I agree.
And assuming that it did win this matchup, because I don't remember the outcome, I would choose it as well over Muppets Family Christmas. So what did we get for scores there?
So another thing, and I don't know how many people know this. I'm sure a lot of people do. Polar Express was starred by Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks plays, I believe he plays like 3 or 4 different parts.
Eddie Murphy's this movie for sure.
Yeah. He plays the conductor. He plays the crazy hobo dude that lives on top of the train. I believe he voices Santa.
I think so.
And
the kids. No, I'm just kidding.
This one was really difficult for me because I like Charlie Brown. And
it's got to be like a biological defect at this point, because if you like A Christmas Story and Charlie Brown, like that to me is like you like pulp in your orange juice. It's just like there's something that's off. But continue now that
there are people that like pulp in orange juice.
I also think that
prison in Australia,
they're all serial killers. Yeah, there's no getting around it.
I also think Polar Express is a pretty decent movie. This one was a difficult vote for me. I believe I went with Polar Express over Charlie Brown.
Good for you.
But Pop Culture Life disagreed with all of us.
No way, really?
Yep. So the Polar Express is the only 7 seed in the bracket to go down. The Charlie Brown Christmas is the only 2 seed to advance. And it beat Polar Express by a score of 30-14.
Wow,
really?
That big?
Yeah. I was
thought
shocked.
Polar Express was getting in the Elite Eight for sure.
I thought so too. I think this is the most shocking matchup.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
Well,
yes.
yeah. This one and Love Actually probably are the 2 biggest upsets.
Well, yeah, I mean 7-2 too. We didn't have any ones get knocked out to my knowledge. But still, I agree with you. Also, I think the other one that I had named earlier, I think was the maybe the.
I think
I'm blanking on what. Okay, yeah. So that one.
All the way.
Yeah, that one was definitely surprising, but I had said I didn't think Love Actually was going to make a great run here for the reasons that I listed, but going down to Polar Express, I thought Polar Express would be way better received than it was.
I thought it was going to too. I was shocked when I looked at it. I was like, no, I had to refresh the page to make sure it was right. And 30-14. I was shocked.
And I'm also now very fearful that 2 movies that I absolutely despise could theoretically be in the final 4. I think they both have a shot at least. Christmas Story's got a bear to overcome in the next round, but Charlie Brown's now got a legitimate shot at the final 4.
Vince's favorite bracket is going to be Christmas Story versus Die Hard in that side, and then Charlie Brown versus Jingle All the Way in the other side, and
It's like what the Joker does with Batman. Like it's gonna force me to break my only rule of voting for Die Hard because I just can't. I would not vote for A Christmas Story over anything,
Yeah,
including
that's
Charlie
fair.
Brown
I'm with
Christmas.
you there.
Yeah.
Jess and I disagree on two things in this previous matchup. One, Tom Hanks, she's not a fan, and
Right.
two, how cute Charlie Brown is. I don't know. I can't do it. That and Snoopy, I don't get it. But
So she likes Charlie Brown.
oh, she loves it. I mean, to her defense,
No.
the Great Pumpkin, the Halloween one, is not bad. I can get behind that one, but like, I don't know. I'm not a big Peanuts person, but real quick. So Polar Express, Vince, in North Carolina, they actually have like a legitimate train that goes around reenacting Polar Express. So you can buy a ticket to and enjoy like
That's cool.
dancing and
That's cool. I like that.
Coco, and yeah, it's really, really neat.
Did
So
you do that with your kids?
we're looking at possibly going to North Carolina. If
Yeah.
I can scrape any money from my bank account. And that was one of the activities that we saw. And we were like, whoa, that is cool. So I think I probably would enjoy that more than my kids. So
Yeah. You might be right.
yeah.
Wow. So all right. So there you go. Those are the outcomes of the first round. We've made all of our picks as we went. So I mean a couple of upsets. We had two seeds go down. By default, we have 2 7s moving on, or three. Do we have 3 7s moving on,
We
or
have
2?
3 7s.
3 7s moving on.
All the
So,
2 seeds went down except for Charlie Brown.
yeah, so 3 2 seeds go down. We have a lot of strong 7s and
Wow.
6. Look, It's a Wonderful Life I'd pick, and I think it will win, but I'm not confident about. We'll go through them really, really quick. It's a Wonderful Life. I'm not confident about that outcome. A Christmas Story versus Christmas Vacation. I'm not confident about that outcome.
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas versus Elf. I think Elf will win handily. Santa Claus Jingle All the Way. I'm not confident about that outcome. Keep going. Die Hard, Lethal Weapon. I do think Die Hard will win, although I guess it wouldn't shock me if Lethal Weapon did. Grinch Stole Christmas, I do think will win handily over Klaus. Bad Santa. I think it's going to beat Scrooged. I don't know if it'll be a blowout necessarily. And Charlie Brown, I think, is going to win over Muppets. So it should be pretty interesting. More than half of those matchups are total toss-ups to me, and there's a lot of classics still left. So I'm looking forward to it. Austin, what do we have going now? Are we doing one a day for the next week?
How many matchups do we have? We have
I'm
8
guessing
matchups
8,
a week.
right?
So we'll probably, most days will probably be one a day, and then
Yeah,
we'll
might do a
probably have-
double feature Friday.
Yeah,
Ooh.
something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, we'll
I
see how it goes. But there may be a couple more double features so that we give everybody the 48-hour, all the
Yeah,
movies,
fair.
the 48-hour time limit there. But yeah, one a day probably to start, and then
Well, and it's
however it
Thanksgiving
works
week
out.
too. We got to remember that. So
Oh,
it
yeah,
might
that's
make
right.
it might make most sense, Austin, to do double features Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday,
we could do that.
and then do the last matchup on Friday after Thanksgiving.
So
that's
for
not a
those
bad
of you
idea.
that are in Pop Culture Life, and for those of you that are going to get ready to join Pop Culture Life, but I highly recommend it if you're watching it and you're not in it yet, go ahead and join Pop Culture Life. That means the first set of matchups will be It's a Wonderful Life and Home Alone, and Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation. Those will come out tomorrow, and then Tuesday we'll have Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, and Scrooged and Bad Santa, and then we'll go to the other side of the bracket and probably do the modern bracket on Wednesday. And then we'll probably do the Grinch Stole Christmas and Claus on Thursday, and Muppet Family Christmas and Charlie Brown Christmas on Friday.
Nice.
So
It looks
if you
like we
don't
got
have-
most of the fluff out of the way. Like
Yeah.
Klaus
pretty
and
good outcome.
Muppets is probably the only two remaining. Like
I think that Elite Eight
Yeah,
is
yeah,
going
there.
to be very tough. Like I think that's when the bracket for me is going to start to get very difficult.
Home
Yeah.
Alone versus Christmas Vacation, if that happens, or even It's a Wonderful Life versus Christmas Vacation, that's going to be the matchup to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think in this one, I think the only part of the Sweet 16, I think that's like kind of easy to predict when it gets to the Elite Eight is going to be the kids. I feel like it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters whether it's Muppets or Charlie Brown. I think Grinch Stole Christmas is going to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah.
It's got the easiest path for sure. And
Yeah.
and
Sure.
I think the classics have the hardest path, no matter how you slice. I mean, all of those are juggernauts,
Yeah.
for better or worse. So Yeah, so this has been our pop culture analysis here. We will be opening these polls to get to the next round throughout this week. If you are not in Pop Culture Life, just type in Pop Culture Life into your Facebook search. It's an open group. You can apply to join. I think there's like some brief questions. Just ask them. You can even write in the Pop Culture Life questions. Watch the podcast. We'll let you in immediately. I'm one of the admins, and you'll be good to go. So thank you for joining us. Jake, any last words here?
Jamie. My Arnold for you. Jingle all the way, baby. Let's bring it home. Get it past the Santa Claus. Let's do it.
Should have never allowed you to have last words. Austin, any last words for you?
I thought this has been really fun. Being the guy that's like running the bracket and stuff, I like looking at this stuff. So watching the evolution of the bracket, I think this is going to be really fun. Because we've gotten all the fluff out of the way. So I think this first round of 32, there was a lot of not very close matchups. I think now we're going to see a lot more of, separated by 4 votes or 3 votes or 2 votes. I could even see like separated by 1 vote.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But yeah, join Pop Culture Life if you if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching live and you're not on it yet, join the discussion. There's a lot of things besides holiday movies that we discuss. It's a good group.
Yeah. You can join our panel of 600 plus as we get through here. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Austin, for your continued work on the brackets. Jake and I and Austin will be back next Sunday, 8 p.m. I had to think about that for a second, Eastern time to go through the next round. So look forward to having you, everyone. Have a great night.
See you guys.
See ya.